Right everybody, welcome back to another video. In this one we're going to be touching upon a few things Tony Mowbray has said in the press conference. He's also given us his thoughts on who's going to win out of Newcastle and Man United in the cup final, his thoughts on Joe Geldart, also Corey Evans and the government. So we'll kick things off straight away with Corey Evans. The lad signed a new contract, our captain, and I'm happy to hear that. Mowbray was talking about how positive him and Danny Bart, with being the older players in the squad, have an effect on the younger players in the changing room. He says they're very positive and it's always good to have them type of players in a young squad. So quickly on Joe Geldart, me and Stephen watched the Rotherham game and we were saying, look, that's Joe Geldart getting back and defending, he's cleaning the lines, he's helping the team out, and he was very hard working, and that's exactly what Mowbray said in his conference. And when strikers are scoring goals, people's not really saying out, they're not criticising them, but when they're not, they're always on the strikers' back. But they tend to forget and not really see what the work they're doing off the ball. And I tell you what, Joe Geldart does get around the pitch a lot. For me personally, I would like to see him further up the pitch, but when he was doing his defensive duties, or I wouldn't say so much defensive duties, when he was coming back to help the team out, he was doing well. So I haven't got any criticisms of Joe Geldart at the minute, me. I'm glad he scored and got off the mark the other day. And Mowbray was saying in his press conference today that he works so hard off the pitch. He's always digging double runs, etc., etc. He says he watched the Man City game, and he says if Haaland scores goals, people don't really mention the fact that he only had 9 touches in the game. And that's exactly the similar to what Joe Geldart, in my opinion. If he doesn't score, people saying, he's a terrible striker, he's useless, he's this, he's that. But if he bangs a goal in, then no one says no. They didn't really say what he does off the ball. Another thing, with these games coming thick and fast, we've been bringing so many videos to you, you'll probably be sick of the sight of us. I'm saying that as I'm digging another one. But Mowbray was alluding to the fact that there's been so many games and there's been sort of information overload on the players, which, as a young player, I remember me being a young lad and in school, and went to teach like from class to class, lesson to lesson, and it just used to go in here and out there. There was too much information to be took in one day, and I think that's what Mowbray was talking about today. He was saying there's been a bit of an information overload, and come Coventry, we're going to be just focusing, and today he says on the training pitch, rather than giving them so much information, he's going to be like going back to the sort of, let them worry about us. We play our game, and we're not going to be focusing too much on Coventry. And it's funny because that's exactly what me and Stephen's been saying recently. We should let teams worry about us. We've got threats all over that pitch, and we can really hurt teams, especially with our creative players further up the pitch. So let's just focus on our game and not worry so much about the opposition. One thing you've probably noticed, and me and Stephen have touched upon it in previous videos and streams, is the fact that we've went back to playing in spells. In the game against QPR, when we won 3-0, for the first 30 minutes, we were just not at it. We couldn't get anywhere near them. And the start of the second half as well, we couldn't get anywhere near QPR. But in spells, we were good. And in Rotherham, the Rotherham game, we didn't get a kick for I don't know how long in the game. We were absolutely terrible for the full first half. It was probably the worst first half performance I've seen at Sunderland this season. That's just my opinion. And Mowbray alluded to the fact that they've went back, like they've been playing in spells in recent games, which is a shame because a few games prior, we were all singing the praises because they put in a full 90 minutes performance and they were at teams. When I think with this information overload what Tony Mowbray's been going on about quite a bit in his press conference, that's probably the reason why they have been playing in spells. A bit too much information being given rather than just letting the team play the way they want to play, our style of football, our free-flowing movement. It's slightly worrying that Ahmad improved when Roberts came on. I was expecting more from Ahmad, even without Roberts being on the pitch, because we know how exciting of a player he is, his abilities, his eye for a pass, his understanding of the game for a young player is up there, and I was expecting more from him, even without Roberts on the pitch. Also, a reporter touched upon the fact how tight the league table is. Like you say, A loss at Coventry can see us drop down to mid-table. A win can see us in the top 6. And that's the thing they were talking about, the bounce back. Yes, it's our first defeat away since October. You know what I mean? That's outstanding, that form, away form in any way. So it would be nice to bounce back. For me, I wanted to win. I did touch upon it yesterday. I wanted to win the winnable game. For me, I thought Rotherham was a winnable game. They only scored, 2 goals or something in 5 games, and they weren't in the best of form. Right, Tony Mowbray's thoughts on Man United versus Newcastle. Newcastle fans are not happy with the fact that they've been called Newcastle by Sky Sports rather than Newcastle United. But nonetheless, Tony Mowbray's thoughts are his stomach's telling him Man U win, which is all nice there. Yeah, he probably wanted to say a bit too much, but he didn't. He was complimentary of both teams, and he did say Casemiro's an animal. He won so many 5 trophies with Real Madrid in the Champions League. He says, I think Man U is going to be too much for Rashford on fire as well. So there you go. Mowbray thinks Man United is going to win the cup. Right, so moving on to Coventry, I'm going to quickly give you my thoughts on it. I really do think that the lads should just gone back to playing their type of football. Didn't even worry about what Coventry's going to do. I know they've got Gyökeres, who's probably one of the best, like me and Stephen said, strikers in the league now with Stuart being out. He's on fire. 14 goals, 5 assists. It's insane. So he's always going to be a threat throughout the game. We've got to pay close attention to him. And if we're going to defend like they did against Rotherham for their goal and just allow him time and space, he will punish us just like what Rathbone did. So we can't allow that to happen. And I didn't think Mowbray will allow that to happen. I think he'll have been into the players regarding that situation and say, like, listen, you're not going to have to play like that and let that happen on Saturday, because it could be worse than just 2-1. Well, it will be, because Coventry are a better team in my opinion. They're sitting in 11th at the minute, 45 points, not that far off the playoffs themselves. So a win for them, it's just going to see them push further on up the table. Like you say, the table's tightened anyway. But the team, I want to see our flair players step up again, like the likes of Roberts. I don't really like saying the word flair players, but that's what they are. Our creative players, the likes of Roberts and Ahmad. I want to see Ahmad vastly improve from the game he did have against Rotherham, because until Roberts came on the pitch, he was terrible. I know we talked about this yesterday, but he was, and a lot of people were saying get him off because he was that poor. And for me, that's what I want to see. Him vastly improved. I want to see Hume come back into the starting lineup, because 09 for long periods of the game he was terrible at right back. This one has got the fans divided. I've noticed today as well on social media with the Luke 09. The ball was, me and Stephen in agreements. The ball went up. It was there to be won. You didn't lead with your elbow because you're going to leave the decision always down to the keeper. And he sort of, when the fourth went up, even though he didn't know where the keeper was, he's let in like that. You know, he's been a bit heavy-handed on a few tackles in that game. And anyway, there's one where he blocks a player off in the penalty spot, and it could have, on any other day, it would have been given as a penalty. So he's going to have to be careful of what he's doing. I know that's Luke 09's game. He's been aggressive, especially in this championship and the back end of League One. But for me, he's going to have to tone that down a little bit. I like Luke 09 at centre-half. He's good at centre-half. If anywhere else, I would put him in the midfield, but not at right back or left back for me, personally. In the midfield, yes, squad rotation, Dan Neil hasn't had the best of games. There's a few said about the QPR one, but there's so much gameplay after the QPR goal. It was Hume who got fouled in the first place, so I wouldn't have even said the penalty was Hume's fault. But when he gone down, he's sort of grabbed the man and he's let the referee, give the referee a decision to make, which he shouldn't have really. He should have just went straight down. But nonetheless, that's in the past. We've got to move on from that. And I just think it was time is now to step up. He's had a few games and he's looked impressive when he came off the bench, but can he make that same impact on Saturday if he gets a start? I didn't think Mowbray will. I think he will go with Neil and Mitchell. But further up the pitch, Clark. I'd like to see Clark. I want to see more support with Clark, because in previous games, QPR as well, when he was getting down the wing, I know teams are starting to try to fathom us out, and they've been sort of isolating Roberts and Ahmad and trying to stop that connection with them on that side, and which is allowing Clark to get more involved in the game, and that's how his goal tallies went up, because people are not really getting out on the left-hand side where Clark is, and it's allowed him more time and space. But for me, I'd like to see more support, and that's why Cirkin's got to come in for me. And I'd like Cirkin to bomb on and link up with Clark. And for the goal against QPR, Cirkin was heavily involved in Clark's goal. He done well to burst forward. There was a little bit of a foul on Clark, but the ball, Cirkin even, and then the ball did drop to Clark and he put it away. So I'd like to see more support with Clark. Like I say, Ahmad tends to drift out to Roberts, where I'd like to see him sometimes drift out to Clark and get him more heavily involved. For me, it's going to be a very, very, very hard game. It's a good test as well. Like I say, Mowbray said it's a learning curve, and these are a better team than Rotherham, so it is going to be a good test to see where the players are at, especially see if they can bounce back from that defeat. With me, I'd like to see Geldart score. Like I say, I've gone for the lads to get the 2-1 win. Hopefully Geldart can get a double. You never know. That's it from about now. I've just brought this video because Mowbray have done his press conference. A bit more information regarding the Saturday's game. We'll be live at 12:15. So, come on the chat. We had a good stream the other day. Let's make it a double. See you in a bit, everyone.